What's good, y'all? This is Breaking Bread, the series. I've got my wonderful guest here, Imani Davis, who's the business director of Footlocker accounts at Nike for North America. As you'll soon find out, she's one of the most real, authentic people you ever meet. Before this call, we were just dying laughing about her path to Nike and everything like that. But Imani, I'd love for you to a little bit share about like what were you like growing up as a kid? And I have to preface it by saying I read your pop's book, Baba and the Crew, and I called my dad and was like, "Yo, my dude, you gotta put something together, man. You slack." Uh, what
Okay,
I
so what are your interpretations of how I was as a kid? Let's start with that. Let me see if I need to debunk any myths.
you were a knucklehead. You were for justice, but it seemed like there was some people who tried to like mess with you, and you had to beat them down. I think actually
Beat him down.
expectations is beat down. So I did.
He does, but he said LOL after it, so it wasn't a real beat down. Okay, so I won't. Okay, those are not myths; those are actually true. I will say that, like, I grew up in New Jersey.
Okay.
I grew up in a family of four kids, two boys and then two girls. So I was the oldest girl, and I was raised by my dad, as you read in the book.
Mhm.
So for me, it was like I'm out here just trying to represent for women, right? Like I'm out here trying to fight the system. Like the boys have different rules than the girls. And I'm like, but I am doing amazingly well, like at everything. Like I'm on the honor roll. I'm doing this. I'm in this club. I'm like president of that. And like, why can't I do what the brothers are doing? Like that kind of thing. So I feel like that really like shaped who I became. Um, and I just think like growing up on Jersey, like in Jersey on the East Coast, it's just a different dynamic. And then like where we grew up in Piscataway, it's super diverse, right? So it's like when I was going to school, my classmates were like a third black, a third white, and a third mostly Indian, but I'll say Asian. And so I think all of those things just kind of shaped like who I was and who I became. But really, like being the first girl, I always felt like the trailblazer. Like everything I did was like I'm doing it my own way. QJZ. Um, and so I feel like that was something that I've just taken with me throughout my entire career, like professional, personal, everything I do is just like do it my own way.
No, that's dope. That's dope. And it was really cool hearing like your path throughout. Like, I mean, it makes total sense how your dad highlights you. I think reading about like the whole prom process for like the two.
But that was like, but it was also because I was starting to work. I think I started working at Bloomingdale's, like RIP. I think Bloomingdale's doesn't even exist anymore. But at that time, it was like high end boutique. I worked in like the Young East Siders, it was called. So that was like the youth division or like teen division. So it's like all this like fashion and trends and everything. Like I was seeing. And that's also what got me in trouble with credit back in the day because I was like, I need to buy the Fendi and I need the Marc Jacob goggles and like everything has to be name brand. That was when like jeans were like a thing, right? So it was like I needed to have the Rockin' Repubs, the studded ones, like just spending money, like stupid money on like all that stuff. But so for the prom process, it was like I need the best dress, like, and I have to be from New York, and it has to be custom,
It
and
was
it was the whole to do. It was a custom dress. Like nobody's gonna have this dress. Like I'm not going with no dress from off the rack in the mall. Like no, I'm going to New York, like downtown. We was in LES every week, going for the fittings. Yeah, but that was just a whole process.
I
But there's a video though that I'll have to send to you. There's a video of me and I went with a dude who played football in New Brunswick, who actually is still in the league today. And like there's a video of us walking like down the promenade, and then it's like in slow mo, and I'm like, smiling at people. He's like pointing at people. This is slow mo. I was just like, yeah, we were so extra, but we looked so popping. We really look. He had like the Jay-Z like white suit, like cream. Oh my god.
Who did y'all think y'all were?
Yo, we thought we was killing it. Like we look good. We look really good.
I
The dress was. I wish I still had that dress because that dress was phenomenal.
That is hilarious, yo. Uh, Too much. So like on your IG, it says that like you are the social media justice warrior. I'd love to hear a little bit about like your journey to like aligning this personality like with your core.
Yeah. So, okay, let's start with aligning your personality to your soul. So that's actually based on a book by Gary Zukov called The Seed of the Soul. And
Mhm.
I found out about this book because No lie, it's because Jay-Z said it was one of his favorite books. So I was like, oh my God, I have to get this book, right? So I get the audio version, and then the audio version has two prefaces. The first is from Oprah. And I was like, well, Auntie O is on this book. Like, obviously, like, this is like an amazing book, and I need to understand and read it and all of this. And then the second preface, prelude, is from Maya Angelou. So, like, this book is starting, like, it's been blessed by Hove, Auntie O, and Sister Maya.
Right.
And essentially, what the book is about is this idea of the soul as a never ending entity. And so, like, whenever you come back, like reincarnated to your next life, your next life, your next life, it's still the same soul, but the personality is what changes. And so, when the personality changes, there's like different traits and things that'll be more, just like who you are as a personality, but the soul stays the same. And so, the soul, every time it comes back, is trying to like rectify whatever karmas that happened in previous lives or even in this life. And so there's lessons that you need to learn. And until you learn those lessons, those same things are going to keep coming up throughout your karmic journey.
Yeah.
And I just like loved the idea of this. And I remember I saw Oprah once at like a UN Women's History Month thing, and she like talked about this concept. And I didn't even realize that that's what she was talking about until I listened to the audiobook and really started understanding what it meant. And essentially, what I feel like it means, like to me, it's like we all have like something to accomplish or achieve, and not like in terms of like material or anything, but like we all do have a purpose when we're here in this carnation or incarnation of ourself. And so when you think about all the gifts that you've been given, like whether it's like you're funny or you're smart or you're good with words or like whatever it is, like you can spit like off the dome, you don't have to write it down, you're like creative, like whatever those things are, it's like your duty to take those gifts and use them in a way that's positive for the world and like move your journey, your karmic journey further. And so for me, when I think about how we use social media, how we like the state of the world today, and like how we can use things like social media to really achieve a greater purpose. And I think we've seen that like this summer with Black Lives Matter, like if it wasn't for social, like between Insta and Twitter, like people were doing protests, like people were organizing in ways that we've never seen, and it was because of social. And so it's like, how do you like take all of those things and like who you are as a personality and who you are as a soul that's going to keep carnating over and over and over, and like use it in a way that's going to be a positive social outcome. Because like you'll see in there like so it says social media in parentheses justice warrior,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, like even when I was like in middle school fighting boys for trying to like mess with me, or like being in corporate and trying to move forward Black people and the agenda of Black people, or on social and like trying to highlight these issues, like I'm a social justice warrior, and media is just one of the ways that I do that.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything you said, and I haven't read that book before, so that's definitely getting added to the
I
list.
would say don't even. I would say get the book, but like really get the audio, because it's him. It's Gary Zukov, and you'll like find out like how Oprah met him and how he like didn't even have TV or anything, and he didn't even know who Oprah was when she like reached out to him like, oh, can you be on my show? And like since then, obviously, like he's become really huge. But like get the audio book, The Seed of the Soul by Gary Zukov, and the teachings in there. I just feel like all of us can utilize those and like come back to them like over and over and over, which is what Maya Angelou says in the prelude.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely an ad. I appreciate you sharing that too. I think you're a big testament to that too. I mean, I know you're saying you're doing this on social media and then like in these corporate settings, but I had a chance to kind of sit in on the Nike with your dad leading it with the Black Lives Matter, and I could totally see where you're coming from. Like your emphasis on like diversity and inclusion, and like seeing some people like being completely vulnerable and not even um, realizing some of the things that Black and brown people go through, I think was like truly impactful, and it was really dope to kind of see from behind the scenes what that looked like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was, and this is like another thing. It's like how do we plug people? And so it's like my dad has all of this like knowledge, and he's been teaching at Rutgers for a number of years, and like he's just been like a leader in the community forever. But like now that he's retired, it's like, so how can we take that and like bring that to the masses? And I feel like 2020 has taught us a lot. And one of the things is like Zoom is actually incredible. Like the way that you can get people to meet up in ways that wouldn't be possible otherwise. So like, how can we like bring people like him or people like one of my mentors, Lawrence, into these conversations, especially at corporations, because they just control so much, right? Like in terms of resources, in terms of politics and policy, like everything. Like, how can we start to really change the conversation there?
Yeah, that's really dope. And kind of moving along with that as well, like, you've worked at Johnson and Johnson, you did Tata Consulting and Nike. Like, how are you finding ways to share that voice and like kind of be unapologetically yourself in these
I,
settings?
I think it's a journey because I wasn't always like, I mean, I was always me. Like, this is who I am. I'll see it. Like, this is who I am. But it wasn't always as like, I don't want to say like as out there. Like, it wasn't, I would say it wasn't as always as authentic for sure. Um, my hair is straight now, but like usually I have it in like in the fro, curls and all that. But that was like, it took me a while to get there. Like, for a long time, it felt like you had to fit into the mold of corporate America. Like, I remember back in the day, even like with dudes were wearing like, would have their face like completely shaven, like especially in finance. There was no beard or anything. Everyone's out here looking like a pedophile. It was wild, but that was how it was. So everybody was doing it. And so same for me. Like, I was straightening my hair, like actually really damaging my hair. Like, this is probably the longest my hair has ever been, because this is the longest that I've just let it like do its own thing and just be completely natural aside from the highlights. And so it just took a long time to get there though. And it's like, you also start seeing other people doing it. Like, then natural hair became a thing. And like, now it's okay to have natural hair. And we've been on a journey. Like, now you don't have to wear suits every day. Like, you can wear, more comfortable clothes, or you have casual Fridays or whatever. Like, it wasn't always like that. So I think just like putting myself out there, seeing other people do it, and then getting that positive reinforcement, and like, okay, no, that's okay. So I did this, and like take a little inch every other time. Like, okay, I did that. Now I'll take another inch, and just like keep pushing. Because I feel like that's what it is. Like, they say a glass ceiling has all these little tiny cracks in it, and then finally it shatters. And I feel like that's the responsibility for all of us. It's like, just keep pushing the culture forward until the glass ceiling shatters, and like we have the same opportunities as everyone else. But like, if we can't be ourselves, then we're doing a disservice to the people who are coming behind us, because then they feel like they can't, which is amazing. Because you think about the new generation, like, they don't give a fuck. Like, they're out here like trans this, Black Lives Matter that, like all colors are equal. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're like using media and social media in ways that we have never even seen or thought about. So like, I feel like it's really good to see this next generation super refreshing, because they are like taking, I think, what we started to do as millennials and just like pushing that shit forward to make sure that the world is just in a better place, because it's fucked up right now. Like, we've seen it. It's a fucked up situation that the whole world is in. But if we don't do something about it, then it's never going to change. We are the people that we've been waiting for to lead that change. That's what Barack Obama said. It's the fact.
100% facts. And I wonder too, like, what's the dynamics between you and your dad? Like, when you're doing stuff like that, that's like front facing and out there about, and you're working obviously in the Nike corporate ladder too. Like, how are your reactions with your dad? Is your dad like, yeah, keep pushing, or like, is it sometimes like, hold on, chill out, Imani? Like,
Oh, hell no. He ain't never going to tell me that. He's like, do more, do more. um, yeah, no, I think he's super proud. Like, this week we're doing a Kwanzaa with Nike. Like, Nike's never done a Kwanzaa before, so I'm bringing him in to do a Kwanzaa, which we've always celebrated. Um, and so he's never gonna tell me like, nah, you're going too far, my sister. Like, never, ever.
It's funny because there are people who have that kind of dynamic where like their parents maybe came from a perspective of like just kind of fit in, or like be
Oh yeah,
one or whatever, like be there, don't kind of be, seen kind of thing. And
yeah.
so,
Especially if you think about like people who have immigrated to this country.
mhm.
Like, at a certain point, it was like super like you had to be homogenous. Like, there's a whole generation of people who like didn't learn their mother tongue because they wanted to fit in and not be different,
Right.
which is like a huge disservice. Especially like if you speak Spanish. Like, now it's like that's like the most spoken language in the entire world. And like, your parents felt like, they wanted to be American and they wanted to fit in. They wanted to help you, so they're doing what they think is best. But now, like, you don't have those skills, or like you don't know about your culture as much because of that. But I feel like now we're finally at a different place where it's like, yeah, I know my culture, I want to know about it. And not only that, like, I want to celebrate it and I want to bring it to the masses. and I want to bring other people into that journey with me.
Yeah, no, that's real. That's real. So I got to ask the cliche question because I didn't put this in the introduction, but Imani is a Ross alum.
Go blue forever, Brian Johnson. Brian Johnson. That's all I gotta say. He knows.
Brian is the GOAT, the missions. But I have to ask, like, with everything you've shared, being unapologetically yourself and really aligning your soul with these different initiatives that you're being a part of, like, does that align? Like, why did you choose Ross ultimately?
Oh man, I wasn't even thinking about Ross. My older brother, his name is Toussaint, after Toussaint Louverture, who fought for freedom in Haiti. Um, he did the whole business school thing before I did.
Okay.
So in that sense, and like me and him are 2 years apart, we look similar. We are similar in terms of our personality, like what we go for. So he's always been like one of my role models. Like I've always been trying to be like Toussaint, but in my own way. Like I'm gonna do it like how you did it, but I'm gonna do it better. So like when I found out, or like when I was thinking about going to business school, I was like telling him I wanted to go to Stern because I love New York. Like I'm like I want to be in New York. Like this is finally my time to like be in New York. And he was like, honestly, I feel like you would really love Michigan. And I feel like you should look at Michigan. And if I didn't want to be in finance, like literally like on Wall Street, like I would have went to Michigan because just the personalities of the people there, like the culture of the school, the atmosphere, like I feel like you would thrive at Michigan. And so that's when I started looking at Ross. I had no idea about it before he said that. And then it was like going to, all the MLT events, like meeting with admissions, like just like Sue Jin, like knowing who I was. Do you know what I'm saying? And like you meet her, but she's like, she has the memory of an elephant. So she remembers everyone. So it wasn't about me. It was just like who she is. And like for her taking that time to like really know like the people who are applying to the school. And then like meeting BJ and like BJ just being like the first time I met him, I will never forget because I walked into the room. He was like Imani Davis, and I was like, "Oh shit! Like this is where I'm supposed to be. Like this is like it right here." And then like us having a conversation about like rap and like how much he loved Jay-Z. I was like, "Oh no, this is like a sign from God. Like obviously this is where I'm supposed to be." And then like meeting the alumni, just like everyone was so dope. And like Ross had the biggest consortium class, so like they were about the business, like Black people in society, business in society, like doing big things, Black excellence. I was like, obviously this is where I have to be. And I was so anxious, like really hoping I was gonna get into Michigan because I had just convinced myself. I was like, okay, it's number one on my consortium application. Like, I don't want to go anywhere else. Like, fuck all these other Ivy League schools. Like, that's not for me. Like, I want to have the best experience. Like, I don't want to be at school. Like, I want to graduate and like 10 years from now, like some of these people are my best friends. And like I posted today, and two of the people that I posted about on Instagram are like my best friends from Michigan who are like doing big things, killing it, right? Um, and so I remember being super anxious, like, oh my God, I hope I get in. And I got the call. And I was like traveling for work, like in the middle of nowhere, Ohio. And I like dropped to my knees and I started crying. I was like, oh my God. Ran over to my colleague, Pam, who I actually spent the weekend with. Broom. I was like, I got in. We're like hugging and crying and like jumping around. We're like, oh my God. But it's just because it's like who Ross, like not who, but like I guess who Ross is as like a school in the community. And I remember when we were there, we started a hash, not a hash, I guess a hashtag. It ain't Ross though. Like, yeah, y'all going to these other little schools, but it ain't Ross though. Like,
Yeah.
so that was like two of the best years of my entire life.
And
And also put me on the path where I'm at. Like Nike wasn't fucking with me before I went to Ross. Like they didn't know who I was.
right.
And because I went there, like now I'm on. So man.
The hashtag is still here though. I'm gonna let you know. It's still around.
But I did not start that. Chidozie started that. That was Chidozie Okafor. He was the year before me, 2015. Actually, no, because he did the duel, so he was 2016 too. But yeah, Chidozie started that hashtag. It ain't Ross though. We were just doing things like no other business school is doing. We were having like Black Business Weekend at Ross, like at the bus, and we getting on a bus, and people are coming through and like seeing our culture, like from other business schools want to participate because of the culture we built there. And it wasn't just Black people, like everybody participated. And that's what I loved about Ross. Like I spent the weekend in New York, and some of my best, like my best, one of my best friends from business school is Pakistani. Like literally spent half his life in Lahore and half in Toronto. Like I traveled back to Pakistan with him for a wedding. Like none of that would have happened without Ross. Like it just laid that foundation.
Right.
Ugh, go blue forever.
Go blue. I gotta ask too. So who called you? Like, did Brian call you or?
Oh my God, it was Brian. And it was like, that number comes up, that area code is Ann Arbor. And he was just telling me like, my fucking stomach is in knots. And I'm like, oh my God, like picking up the phone. I'm like, hello. It's like, Imani. I'm like, hi. He's like, how are you? I'm like, get to the point. He's like, I want to let you know that you were admitted. I'm like, oh, thank you. And you got the fellowship. I was like, oh, praise Jesus. Like, what? Are you kidding? I was jumping up and down. That was like the best news of my life. The best news of my life. I was like, oh, like praise dance. So Brian Johnson, forever the GOAT.
Forever.
And the other thing too is like, it wasn't all about GMAT. And like for us, especially for Black and brown people, like standardized testing is not it. And it doesn't necessarily show like what you're actually capable of, especially if you think about from a leadership perspective, right? And so it's like, I felt like they took a chance on me because my GMAT score was 640. That's as high as I could get. And I took that shit 5 fucking times. Like I was really trying and it was just like, nah, bitch, it's not for you. Like, let it go. But still, they took the chance, right? So they gave me the fellowship. I was able to go there, still be in leadership positions in different clubs. Like I was the president of the consulting club, which was the biggest the biggest professional club at school. And like in BBSA as a president, the co-chair of communications and of ALE and like those kinds of things. So like there were still opportunities to lead. But like Michigan took that chance. Like no other school was really trying to fuck with me like that.
Yeah.
So go blue and go Brian.
Go.
You did good.
I had the same experience with Brian too. Well, actually, I was like, I was sitting there like real somber, like, okay, like get to it. And then he told me, and I was like, okay, please appreciate you. And I didn't want to blow it. So I was just like, oh, thank you. And I'm like about to hang up. And he's like, come on, bro. Like, I know you're more hyped than that. And I was like, let's go.
Because he's so real. And that's the thing, it's just like that's the whole point thing of all of this is just like the realness of it, right? Like we have to be real, like we have to be ourselves. And like Brian was like that. I feel like Sujin is like that. Diana is like that. Like that whole team, they're just real. And like they lived it. They went to that school and they love that shit because it's amazing. And they only want certain people who are there. It's like a policy. We have like the same policy at Nike. Like you can't be an asshole. Like you can't work here if you're an asshole. Like, no, that's not what we're about. And in Michigan, the same thing. Like you can't go, but like you can't go here if you're an asshole. The majority of the people are like really good people.
Right.
And like wanting to help you. Cause like my skill set is not economics and finance. Like I don't know about that shit, but I have classmates who are, and I don't feel bad about asking them. I know they're not going to make me feel like a dumbass because I don't know, and I have things that I can share about like communications or social responsibility that like they may not necessarily know, but it's never done in a place or like coming from a bad place. It's like assuming positive intent always.
I agree. And like, I think to your point, like Michigan was the only place that kind of took the full perspective of like who are the prospective students were.
Yeah.
And everybody has the buzzword of like collaboration and stuff, but like I feel like it's truly real here. Like not just at Ross, like if you go to Michigan in general, people
in general, definitely
going to be helping you out, take phone calls, like no press.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that. So you mentioned that you were like the president of the consulting club. And I already know this, but I know you got mad offers when you're trying to decide between like where you're trying to go. Big stack. Like, why ultimately did you choose Nike?
Well, the backstory of the consulting thing was like I really thought I wanted to be in consulting, even though that was obviously opposite of everything that I'm about from like a be who you are perspective, right? Like, like it is more homogenous. Like I would not have been wearing my fro. I would have been wearing a suit every day, traveling, talking in a certain way. I obviously wouldn't have been cursing. I'd be in meetings at work now, like fuck this, blah blah, blah, like getting hype. I wouldn't have been doing any of that shit. But like there is still in business school like a herd mentality. Like so like if everyone's doing consulting, like you wouldn't do consulting too. And so I recruited, did not get the offers I wanted from consulting, but didn't I wasn't down and out after that. I was like, well, fuck this. I got to hustle. Like, I better just drop my resume everywhere and just get in front of anybody. So then I did end up getting a lot of offers. And then I decided to go to Nike because I was like, okay, I want the biggest brand. because previously I had worked at Johnson Johnson, like people, which people know. I worked at Tata Consultancy Services, which people don't really know, even though it's a huge Indian IT conglomerate and consulting is just one of their practices. Um, so I was like, I want to go somewhere like nobody's gonna ever ask me like, oh, so you work at Nike? Like, what's that? Like, no, just doing it. You know what it is. Just do it. Everybody knows that. And so when I went there, and I also wanted to get like more of a quantitative, like hard skill background. So the offer was for supply chain innovation globally. So I went there and I really didn't have any intention of staying. I was just like, I'll get the experience. Maybe I'll re-recruit for consulting or like leverage it to do something else. But then I just loved my summer. Again, it was about the people and the culture of the place. I was like, yo, this shit is lit. And I'm in supply chain and I'm like changing my project to make it cooler. I'm like, all right, y'all want to talk about KPIs? Well, let me tell y'all the KPIs of the future. You know what I'm saying? Like, just making shit up, but making it sound good. Because like it's about storytelling and presenting and like how do you put all the information together and sell it and package it in a way that other people are going to come along the journey with you. Like that is what we are about. And you see it like even the way externally how we are doing like advertising and things. And so I just loved the summer so much. And then it was a question of like, yo, but do I want to be in Portland, Oregon? I don't know. I told you I want to be in New York. Like, and I remember again, Tucson, the same brother came at the end of my summer. I spent 10 weeks there in 2015. And he was like, New York is always going to be there. Like, you had a great summer. I met a lot of your colleagues and things today. People really like you. Like, you have an opportunity here to build something. Like, if you start over, like you go somewhere else, like you're gonna have to do all that goodwill all over again. Like, people are gonna have to be comfortable with you, and you have to know them. And like, it's a great brand. So like, even if you don't like it after 2 years or whatever, like you don't have to stay there forever, but you should definitely at least give it a shot. And 5 years later, my black ass still at like, and like one of the few people who is like still at the same company after business school. Because people do basically spend the first 2 years and then they like change and do something else. But I just got on a path here because of the people and just because, like, again, the personality aligning with the brand and the soul aligning with our values of like, we're about sport, we're about equality. The sport is the greatest equalizer, like all of those things. And so now I've been on a journey at this point, and hopefully I will be in New York soon and with Nike, because that's always been the dream. Like, be in New York, but like doing something that you love to do. That was like, it was like I'm either gonna be in New York, like doing an job, or I'm gonna be at Nike, but I'm gonna be in Portland. But now, like being in New York and with Nike, it's like that's it. That's it. Like I ain't never gonna leave the brand now. So hopefully y'all will keep me because I really like working here. Shout out to Nike and Jordan Brand as well, and also Converse. Shout out to all y'all.
Family. So how did you go about like navigating the corporate ladder once you did get to Nike? Because now you've been there for 5 years and you're talking about
Yeah.
all these different things you're doing.
I mean, I think you learn all of that in business school too, about the networking piece. Like, you know how important it is. But it's the same here. Like, people do coffee chats and all that stuff. And it's really just about understanding first, like, what do we do as a company? Like, yeah, we make cool shit, but like the nuts and bolts of how that actually happens and comes to life, like, you have to understand that. And after you understand that, then you can see, like, where do I fit in amongst those things? And then for me, it was about sales. So like I started in a great role with a phenomenal team of like, now these are the people who are leading the company, like seriously, like at the VP level are just phenomenal people. And because of that, I got to see how we run the business, but also like the best version of a high performing team. Like, could not have gone to school to learn that in any other place or way. Like, it was just phenomenal. And so once I saw like how we're running the business, like what do all the functions actually do? Like, what does merchandising do? What does brand actually do? Like, what does the day-to-day look like? After that, then it's like, okay, I align with sales. Like, I want to be in sales. Like, I want to be customer facing. I want to bring in money. Like, I want revenue. Like, I want to drive profitability. Like, I want to do all of those things. And I like want to work with partners. Like, I would love to do that. And once I realized that, then it's like, okay, who are the players here? I found out John Padati, who happens to be from Jersey, was a senior sales director at the time. I remember the first time I met him, I was like, yo, I want to do what you do. Like, what's good? He was like, easy cowgirl. Like, let's see about you first. Like, let me vet your ass and see if I'm gonna help your ass out, right? And I was just like, oh, you're so Jersey. Like, I loved it. Like, I'm not even offended. Like, I know you don't mean it in any type of way. I feel you. Like, I came in hot. But ended up being like one of my best mentors. Had been with the brand for like over 30 years. Like, and one of my best mentors and helping me get into sales. Like, the person who told me, like, yo, these roles are about to open. I was home in Jersey. These roles are about to open. Like, get your ass back to Portland so you can make sure that you're there so you can interview and all of this. Like, gave me the look. And also, like, a white dude from Jersey, like, not black. A lot of my mentors at Nike, not necessarily black. Like, people just about good people. I wanted to help people out and like put on the next wave of talent. Frank Chase hired me into sales, also 30 years, like, white dude at Nike for a long ass time, hired me into sales, was my manager twice, which was crazy, but I got to work with him. Yao Jin Yoon, Korean woman who was like my sister, like, was my manager, got me promoted from manager level to director level, which is a big difference in terms of where you're at in the company and talent planning and future and all of that. But like, Kyle Sanchez, making sure that I got the opportunity that I'm in now, right? To like do something different. And it's just like people, it's the people aspect of it, just like at Michigan, just like with my friends at home or whatever. Like, it's always about the people. And so because of that, I was just able to navigate in a way that's just helped me. And like being real, because like you can sniff that shit out in a heartbeat. Like, if people are not authentic, like if I didn't know what I was doing, you can't bullshit. Like, at the end of the day, like, you have to be good, but also like people have to give you the opportunity to do so.
Yeah. And so you being able to like work alongside these different ethnicities or be able to have these people as your mentors, is that like an Imani thing or is that like a Nike cultural thing? And like, how do people go about finding mentors that maybe don't necessarily look like them to advocate for them behind the scenes?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it's probably a combination of the two. Like I said, I grew up in a place where people were from everywhere, and that was always one of my like things. That's why I didn't want to go to an HBCU. In all honesty, I was like, I want to go to a place like I grew up, like where people are different from me. Like, I want to know about other people's experiences. Like, I know the Black experience, and my dad is Professor Black. Like, basically, like, I had that education. Like, I know Black shit. Like, let me learn about other shit that's not Black. Although, like, not no like disservice to HBCUs, that's an amazing experience. But for me personally, I was like, I really want to have the opportunity to meet other people from different backgrounds. And same thing with Ross. Like, the international population that we had, I think it was 40% when I was there. Like, you can't get that anywhere else. And working at TCS, like, 90% of my colleagues were from India because it's an IT consulting firm that's based in India, and we had a lot of Indian expats here. So like through those experiences, I just feel like I had that like the wherewithal to be able to like talk the language. And then in business school, like we went everywhere. Like I traveled to 30 countries in the 2 years. Like it was absurd. Like I got to workplaces. Don't hate. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But after COVID, you'll have your time. But like, like those experiences is just like it's building you up. It's building you up. So when I landed in Nike, my first job was in emerging markets, and like 60% of the people that I worked with were not from the US. I was like, let's go. Like I'm one of like three Black people in the whole geography because everyone's coming from Japan, Korea, Australia, Brazil, Mexico, Argentina. Like it's just this rich environment. Like all the people are speaking their language. Again, like going back to being who you are. Like people are out at work speaking Portuguese or Spanish or Australian accent, Australian English, I'll call it. Like people are doing that. But because I had all those other experiences, I was just able to just hop in, like, all right, giddy up, let's go. Like, and oh, also, like, I've been to Kyoto. My first VP was from there in Japan. I've been to Kyoto. I've been to Tokyo. Oh yeah, I've been to Seoul. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. I mean, I know I'm just a Black chick from Jersey, but I've been around. But I also think it's a Nike thing because, like I said, people care about the brand so much. So, like, they want to protect it. And we only want to have people at the brand who really love the brand, just like Michigan. We only want people at Michigan who are really passionate about being here because those are going to be the future leaders and the stewards of it. And if you're not, then, like, I can't really connect with you. So it doesn't matter what your background is. Like, we have at least a starting point of, like, we both love this brand and we both want to succeed at this brand and, like, help this brand succeed and, like, push it forward.
Yeah, no, that's fire. And I appreciate you sharing that because I think A lot of people of color are probably navigating that same kind of feeling, like how do I navigate, how do I find mentors and be in these different settings. But I think what you're sharing is like really, really valuable. So to get to the fun part, we're gonna do a little bit of like a lightning round.
Oh, hot seat. Okay.
I already
I'm
put
laughing.
one thing, so like we're gonna see. We're gonna see. So like what if, during this pandemic, like what have you been able to tap into? Um, yeah, that's it. That's the question.
That's it. Full stop. Man, I think at the beginning of it, I was just like, we're not going to fix COVID. Like, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a doctor. Like, there's not that much I can do to actually fix the problem. Like, all I can do is react. Like, all I can do is like be accountable for myself. So I can wash my hands, I can wear a mask, I can donate to local organizations, I can support small business. Like, those are the things that I can do. In addition to that, it's like in terms of like self-care, like I can make sure I'm working out every day, which I need to get back to. I can make sure that I'm like doing yoga and mindfulness and meditation and praying. I can learn more about spirituality. I can read. Like those are all some of those self-care things. I can like reach out to people to make sure other people are good because everyone's going through a fucking rough ass time. Um, and I can like do things that are going to help me be better, like take Spanish, which I was lucky because Nike helped me like find a tutor and like paid for the tutor and all that stuff. So those are like some of the things. I think yeah, it was just like how can I be a better, more holistic person, because now I have this time and I'm not like going to concerts, I'm not out drinking with my friends every weekend, you know, I'm not like shaking my ass at the club, like I'm not doing any of that. I'm at home, so like what are the things that can actually help me like I come out of this in a better place, like better than I was when I went into it.
Sit your ass
But
down.
I'm gonna be back at the club when it's over, wearing a mask, like, finally popping bottles.
All right, so the got canceled, but I'm curious, who would you have had, Ashanti or Keisha Cole?
Oh, come on, Keisha. That was just like the hood superstar. Like she was R&B, like hood queen. Like she was the queen. Like come on, Keisha was it.
That's
She
fact.
put all her soul into her song. I cannot sing, but I would be singing love right now. Like you could hear it. You could hear the pain. It was raw. Like Keisha, woo, child.
It was there. It was there. But now you're on the West Coast, so I wonder who you got, E40 or Too Short.
Oh damn. Nah, it's too short though.
Yeah, I like.
That's too classic. What's my favorite word? Classic.
The last question I got for you is, what is a movie line or a music lyric that you live by? And I preface this by saying no, Jay-Z, but you mentioned Jay-Z like 3 or 4 times, so I'm already expecting it's gonna come.
It's gonna be Jay-Z. It's gonna be Jay-Z. And the reason is because of who he is, like where he came from to where he is today. Like you can't, like you have to respect that hustle.
Right.
And then I think also just in terms of like black excellence, like that's what he's about now. And it's about putting other people on, right? So it's gotta be, damn, and I was gonna play it for you too, but I don't have my speaker. I thought I had it. But murder to excellence, like you think about the concept of the song, going from murder to excellence, and like how can we as black people continue to push forward? And at the end, he's like black excellence, opulence, decadence. Like what? But at the beginning of the song, hold on, I'm like, I'm not gonna mess it up. I'm not gonna mess it up. All black everything, nigga. You know my fresh code. What? All black everything. And he doesn't just mean, and this is the thing I love about Jay-Z because it's all double entendres. All black everything. Yeah, my outfit, I'm wearing all black today. But also all black everything. The people, like the businesses that I support, like everything I do is all black everything. Okay? That's the first line. Second line, I'm out here fighting for you. Don't increase my stress load. Like y'all out here trying to gun for me because I'm the king, but I'm out here putting on for you and I'm pushing the culture forward. So like, don't do it.
Chill.
Don't. Okay? Line 3. Niggas watching the throne, very happy to be you. Learn. Y'all are watching me. Like learn what I'm doing. Like learn and push it forward and continue it. And then the last line of that verse, power to the people. When you see me, see you. What? That was 4 bars.
No.
That was 4 bars. Like, are we serious? Hove. He's he's the GOAT. Like, period, full stop, don't at me. Like, he is the GOAT. So it's like because of that, like because of where he is now, like from Reasonable Doubt to 444, that was only 4 bars. Like I could go all day.
All day. That whole
The
song.
whole song, like, and then the transition, like musically, just even the beat transitions, and you're like, Black excellence, apple decadence. Like, what? I'm like, yes, Kim.
Dress, Idris, the boutique stores in Paris.
And Paris.
I
Like
fuck with you. That's it. That's the rap. Do you
that
have
whole song, that whole album. What'd you
yeah,
say?
yeah. That's big facts. Do you have any final remarks before I let you go?
No, I loved this. I see you got Kanye in the background, old Kanye. I love old Kanye.
I gotta always preface that. Whenever I do like interviews and stuff, I'm like, that's old yeah. Don't be.
I mean, it is. That's 808s and Heartbreak. Yeah, like he was going through it at that time. Like he was pushing it forward. Like even auto tune. Like only someone who's like actually creative could make auto tune be musical and like artistic. Okay, but final thoughts. No, I mean, I love the conversation. I think we keep it going. I would love to see more women on your show.
Definitely. You
That's
starting
what
it
I'm
off.
because you already know. You already know. Like I'm always pushing forward, trying to shatter the ceiling. So I want more women on the show.
And
But I appreciate the opportunity.
money. So I really appreciate you sharing that and definitely keep note of that. There will be more women on the show. Big facts.
Good. But keep it going. I think it's an amazing concept. I love the idea. Just let me know any way I can help.
I got you. Thank you so much for being on Breaking Bread.
Of
I'll holler.
course.